Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Rewind That. It's your girl, Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Alright guys, today we are going to be going over the latest episode of Put a Ring on It, Season 2, Episode number 2, called Flipping the Script. So before I get started, I just wanted to shout out a few ladies. These ladies have been around for a little while now. And that is Saxon Heights. Shout out to you, girl. I was looking at some very old videos, I think last week. And one thing I noticed is that you are very constant, like through most of my videos, like whether I do reality shows, drama, scripted, whatever, you have been there, girl. Even if you come to say maybe a sentence, just one comment, I really appreciate your support. I'm telling you right now that because of people like you, when I am in my most discouraged moments when it comes to this channel, people like you give me a reason to keep on going. So I really, really appreciate you. All right. Also, I think you started with me last year, girl, and I want to say thank you to you as well. I also want to shout out Cargar11. I believe that's how you say your name. I appreciate you. Bless up to you, ladies, and thank you again. This journey sometimes is not easy. It gets pretty discouraging at times. And like I said, having you guys there rocking with me, and I'm such a small channel, it really means a lot to me. So thank you again. Fellas, I'm not discounting you, but right now I'm just shouting out the ladies. All right. Anyway, guys, let's get into this episode, okay? So the episode starts off where we left off. And as we already knew, guys, Darian chooses to go on a second date with Kai. And Alexia isn't happy about this at all, right? When Dr. Nicole asks how she feels about it, Alexia says that if Darian continues to go on dates with Kai, it'll be like they're in a relationship. Anyway, Dr. Nicole lets the couples know that it's the ladies' turn to go on their dates, and she asks the fellas if they're ready to see their women go on these dates. And every man said no. Sean said no. Eric said no. But Darian did not say no, okay? He talking about something. I want her to experience what I experienced because you don't know what's going to happen on this date. And Dr. Nicole was like, okay. And I was like, boy, you better stop playing, okay? Because we're going to have to see about that now. Anyway, Sean expresses that he's very uncomfortable, right, with LaRonda going on her date because she's already a friendly person. In the confessional, he tells us that he's never had a reason not to trust LaRonda, but he wants to take the next step with someone who will be open and honest with him. And as we saw in the first episode, that was one of his major issues with LaRonda, is that she doesn't really express her feelings, okay? She's not open. All right, so next, Jessica gets ready for her date, and she was looking super sexy, okay, guys? And as Eric said, you doing too much for your little date. And I'm going to have to agree with him, guys. Jessica, you was a little too sexy for another man, boo. But you was working that dress, though. Get it, girl. But don't get it, okay? But the part that had me was when she told Eric that when he went on his date, she went out and bought that freaking dress for her date, okay? Put the freaking dress on. I was like, wow, she's really playing the game, okay? And I wasn't mad, I guess. Anyway, so she goes on her little date with Randon, who tries to put on his charm and say all the right things, talking about he's never had a girlfriend because he wants to do the one and done thing, right? Where he finds a woman and can marry her and then have children with her. However, when we're first introduced to Randon, he lets us know that he doesn't have a problem with dating someone who's currently in a relationship because he's always been known as Mr. Still Your Girl anyway. So while Jessica seems to be feeling everything this dude is saying, she needs to be careful because he seems a bit arrogant and probably worse than Eric. But he was making sense when he told her that trust issues with Eric creates a slippery slope in their relationship. Next, it's time for Alexia to go on her date, and one of her concerns was that her date would be a fan of Darian's. Fortunately for Alexia, her date Chris, who was a personal trainer, never saw Darian a day in his life. So even though Darian was polite and welcoming toward Chris, we could see that he wasn't too comfortable with his woman leaving out with another man. And that's why he can't be talking that crap, okay, about being ready for her to go on a date and experience what he experienced. Because when it all goes down, you ain't gonna be feeling like that, really, okay? So just be honest, all right? In the confessional, he says that no man wants another man around his woman if he's not around. Next, Dr. Nicole sits down with Sean and LaRonda, and the thing that stood out the most for me was Sean's past and how it's shaped him as a man. He feels like your work determines your worth. So basically, if he's not making enough money, he'll feel inferior to his woman, and obviously that's an issue. Dr. Nicole has to tell him that he has to write his own narrative and take the pen from his father, who Sean is basically allowing to write his story, because we find out that his father was a provider, but he also wasn't present, for the family. That created a lot of trauma in his life, okay? Next, Alexia is on her date with Chris, and they're at the batting cages, and they seem to be having fun. When they sit down, they seem to have a nice conversation, and Chris's main thing was seeing if Alexia knew herself aside from Darian. And Alexia lets Chris know that she indeed knows herself and is in fact an alpha female. In the confessional, she lets us know that she appreciates being out with someone, first of all, who's good looking and who listens to her, right? And doesn't interrupt her. But as I listened to their conversation, I wondered if Chris was okay with Alexia being an alpha female, because, some men don't like that. Next, LaRonda gets ready for her date, and Sean lets it be known that he's pretty much an emotional wreck, and he's not ready for LaRonda to go on a date. He even asked LaRonda if she had a little pin to close her shirt in order to hide her cleavage, but LaRonda felt like the cleavage was not that bad, and that was that. Anyway, when LaRonda's date John shows up, he has a pretty good energy about him, right, guys? Everything is peace and blessings, and I mean every other word was bless you, all right? And I ain't mad at that, Some people might think it's weird, but I find it refreshing with so much negative energy going around. Anyway, they go on their date to a winery, and LaRonda seems to really enjoy herself. She lets us know that she enjoyed John's company because he was willing to do the little things that made her happy, like when they were catching grapes with their mouths. LaRonda says that it showed her that John can have fun and not take life too seriously. So while LaRonda is, enjoying her date, Sean is home going through it, okay? So he calls his friend to vent, and his friend tells him that he has to just, trust LaRonda. But Sean starts crying because for him, the process just is not easy. And look, Sean did warn us that he is an emotional wreck. If he's not smiling, he's crying, one of the two. Anyway, next we get to the couples session where all the couples sit and talk to Dr. Nicole. I also noticed that they switched up the seats. Last season, each couple sat in the same spot every time. But this week, we see that LaRonda and Sean seem to switch seats with Jessica and Eric. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out. So Dr. Nicole asked the ladies how their dates went, starting with Alexia. So Alexia tells Dr. Nicole that her date was good looking and he listened to her. Of course, Darian had to throw in his little joke about Alexia's date being a dork. But Alexia and Darian also shared that they've made some good steps since going on their dates because they stayed up one night talking to each other until about 7 a.m. So that was pretty good. Next, Jessica tells Dr. Nicole about her date and lets her know that her date was attractive and they were vibing. Then Dr. Nicole asked how Eric was when Jessica's date came to the door, and Jessica pretty much indicated that it didn't go so well, and Eric was like, yeah, I had to check him or whatever at the door. So Dr. Nicole asked Eric if he trusts Jessica, and Jessica answered for him and said, no, he does not trust me, and it goes both ways. And Dr. Nicole was like, so y'all trying to build long-term on that foundation? And Jessica was like, yeah, it's worth a try. And I really hope that Dr. Nicole gets through to Jessica before this process is over, okay? Because she's really not thinking realistically, The relationship is not going to be healthy without trust, all right? Anyway, next we get to LaRonda, and she lets it be known that her date was fun and he was a gentleman, pulling out chairs and all that stuff, and she just enjoyed her time with him, okay? But we find out that what we saw when we saw Sean home talking to his friend and crying or whatever and venting, doing push-ups and all this stuff, we also find out that he actually became physically sick, like he was throwing up and everything. Sean even shared with the rest of the group that he's just really afraid of being his father. So Dr. Nicole asked him, she said, "Do you treat LaRonda the way your father treated your mother?" And he's like, "No, of course not." So Dr. Nicole says, "You see, you have already moved away from the model that your father showed you." So he's making great progress already. So Sean also let it be known that, he's kind of like the type of person that, because of the trauma in his life, he kind of foreshadows situations and thinks the worst. And so it just really doesn't help. So Dr. Nicole is really trying to just encourage him to take the opportunity that the moment is presenting, and stop making things worse for yourself. Anyway, guys, we're going to move past that. But unfortunately, we see that Sean has lots of trauma going on, and he has to be able to, Dr. Nicole wants him to be able to move past that so that he can be all he can be for his woman, right? All right, so now Dr. Nicole wants to know, are the women going to go on a second date? All the women said no, okay? Alexia says no because she said even though she enjoyed the date with him, there was something missing. Jessica said no about her date because she said that the red flag was that Randon never had a girlfriend. So that was a red flag for her. Then we get to LaRonda, and she repeats all the good things about her date, John. The fact that John is a good man, and he was a good date, and they had fun, and he's a gentleman, and I think he'll make a good partner, but I'm going to have to pass on the date. And so because she did it like that, Dr. Nicole was like, so wait a minute, why are you going to pass, though? And LaRonda says, because I have to think about Sean, So she's concerned that her going on another date with John, a second date with John, is going to affect Sean's well-being. And Dr. Nicole was like, please, guys, do not make decisions like that. Don't make decisions in this process that are not honest. You are not going to like how you end up. All right. So anyway, that was that. And then Dr. Nicole lets the couples know that next week, all 6 of them will be going on dates. And they will all be in the same location. So basically, they're going to be able to see exactly how their significant others interact on their dates, okay, when they're out with other people. So we're going to see, guys, they are really raising the stakes in this season. And because they're doing it this way, it kind of makes me wonder how it's going to be for season 3. Anyway, guys, that was the episode, and let me know what you guys thought. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care and be blessed. Bye-bye.